school buses do not have seat belts. So I think in reflecting to this percentage that my drivers have more seat belts available to them, kind of reflects on, oh, great. Well guys, I'm sorry I can't stop it now, just give me a second. But that reflects on their 55% says they're not really needed, and we actually have more seat belts that are available to us than the national average. So I thought that was an interesting aspect of data that I was able to analyze. Almost caught up, sorry. It would probably help if I had somebody helping me, but I'm running solo on this. Trying to do it all myself. Here we go. Analysis. The surveys were collected and sorted by years of experience and then by demographics, and demographics being special ed, regular ed, and athletic buses. Each group was organized by whether the participants felt that seatbelts would make their students safer on school buses or not. Then the data was recorded in Excel to review the numerical data. The data was then converted into percentages and placed in graphs and tables in a Word document for inclusion for the study, which you just saw. And again, 55% of the drivers at HEB felt that their students were not in danger without the availability of seat belts, and as a bus driver for the district, the majority of drivers felt that their students would not be any safer. In other words, drivers feel that compartmentalization is effective. That 40-year-old technology that's put in place to keep our kids safe, bus drivers feel that it isn't, that compartmentalization is effective. 67% indicated the buses they drive are not equipped with seat belts. 80% of the nation's school buses are not equipped with seat belts. The HEB drivers surveyed have a higher number of school buses equipped with seat belts than the national average, indicating that the seat belt equipped buses are more available to them, and we discussed that earlier. The belief that seat belts would keep students safer increases as the years of experience increases amongst HEB drivers. 20% of the drivers with 0 to 5 years of driving experience felt that seat belts would make their students safer. 69% of drivers with 6 or more years of experience felt that the seat belts were needed to keep their students safer. Recommendations. So after collecting all this data, interviewing the drivers, processing, condensing, sorting through it, what did I find out? Recommendations. The recommendations are that all avenues of student safety should be considered before mandating of seat belts in school buses. School buses are a safer form of transportation than the family vehicle. It is suggested that funding for seat belts be redirected to furthering the education of the driving public. So what that is saying is that take that $6,000 that we're going to put into a school bus per school bus. I don't know the number of school buses in the United States, but this, for my district, take that 123 buses times 6,000, take that cash and put it into the education of the general public. You can increase the education about seatbelt awareness, about compartmentalization effectiveness. If parents feel that seatbelts or compartmentalization is effective in saving and protecting their children, and maybe their fears will be calmed and they'll be put more at ease. Another recommendation is that students who ride school buses are in more danger at the point where they are boarding or unloading. Similar to the first recommendation, increasing education about the dangers of passing a school bus when students are loading or unloading should be considered. Stiffer punishments for the driving public who choose to pass a school bus while loading and unloading should be considered in conjunction with furthering education about the dangers of passing a school bus. So, to reiterate, students are in more danger, more fatalities occur right here, where students are crossing in front of the bus, or they're stepping out the doorway on the right side and an impatient driver goes down that right side. I actually saw a video, it was a news report, where a lady got impatient and went up on the sidewalk to go around the school bus. So, crazy things happen, but more fatalities, more student injuries occur outside of the school bus than they do inside. That $6,000 per school bus could go towards educating the public. My family often calls me and asks me a question, now Steve, when am I supposed to stop when those loading lights are, these lights here, these safety loading lights are operating? If there's a median, if they're across the street, what if we're at an intersection? When am I required to stop? So, and all my life, I don't know how many years I've been driving now, but when I was 16, I can remember learning about when to stop for a school bus and when not to. I've never heard anything since. Recommendations continued. In the event seatbelts in school buses are mandated, it is suggested that all individuals involved in pupil transportation be given the opportunity to provide input. Consideration must be given to the financial aspects that will be placed upon school districts if seatbelts are mandated. Additionally, the liability aspect of mandating seatbelts should be considered if a student is injured as a result of not wearing a seatbelt. Finally, a training standard should be considered for students, bus drivers, and administrators if seatbelts are mandated. In this business, over the years, I've seen a lot of laws come through that were just knee-jerk reactions to accidents or to public outcry, and pen and paper were not put together and calculated the cost and expense and the impact that would have on budgets and state budgets and local district budgets and department budgets. All individuals involved in transportation should be have a voice in how the implementation of seatbelts in school buses occurs. If bus drivers who don't make very much money to begin with, are they going to be held liable by law, or is the district who has a bigger bank account going to be held liable by law in the event that the student is injured from not wearing a seatbelt? Now, should there be policies and processes put in place by the school district that require bus drivers to enforce students to wear seatbelts? Yes, but who's going to be liable? And all aspects of transportation should be considered when the law is mandated. Summary. The purpose of the study was to determine if school bus drivers for the Hershey-Lewis-Bedford Independent School District in Bedford, Texas, consider the students they transport are in more danger without the availability of seatbelts on district school buses. The majority of drivers feel that the availability of seatbelts do not make their students safer in the school buses they drive. The results also show that those that believe seatbelts would keep their students safer increases as their years of experience increases. That's just it in a nutshell. Guys, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my presentation. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.